Welcome to Out of Memory. I am your host with the toast, Christopher Hampson. Joining me today is AJ Hamilton.
That's me. I don't have any toast.
Oh.
Sorry.
Just butter.
Goes together so well.
Yeah.
On this podcast, we make the difficult decisions, whether our recollections of the past still belong in our overstuffed brains or if we should permanently delete them out of our memories. Hence the name, Out of Memory.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how
Y'all should know the show by now.
Yeah, that's right.
This is what, episode
9.
8-ish? 9?
8, 9, 10, doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all going to be... Yeah.
AJ, I wanted to ask, do you like what I've done with the studio?
It's beautiful. It's lovely. I like the twinkly lights. Those are really cute.
You like the crackling log?
Ooh, that's it. It warms me up, even though it's digital. I like it. Yes. So it's lovely. And all of the children's toys around. Are you going to let your daughter play with any of them, or are these all yours?
No, these children's toys are for me.
Yes, naturally. Excellent.
I wrapped them just so I could unwrap them. And I'm not even going to play with them. I think I'll just either wrap them again or throw them in the garbage.
It's just a weekly, monthly thing. Just, yeah.
Well, I saw it. It was in my house. Now I'm finished with it.
I love wasting plastic. This is great.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Cool.
AJ, do you ever call this season Xmas?
I think it's the only way to go because you can say happy holidays, but really, I think the X really makes it an extreme holiday, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. A holiday season.
Extra special.
That's right. Exciting. Well, you know what? I have a question for you, Chris. If you could get anything...
That's Crex.
Chris Krangle. What?
Wait, can't the X? Isn't it short for Chris? Should I just go by X from now on?
Well, it'd be Christ.
Is that pretentious of me?
Exifer?
Extifer, yes.
Extifer, yeah. Well, but Extifer, I have this question for you. If for Christmas you could get one mutant power, what would it be?
I've always wanted the power, if I'm thinking back, to stop time, especially when I didn't do my homework, which was often.
Of course, so that when you got up in front of the class, all you would have to do is like stop time, read through the book real quick, and then unstop time, and then you're like, I totally got this.
Yeah, but that's
more studying.
Well, as a young procrastinator, I mean, I would long for that power, but I think if I ever froze time and like, okay, I just got to read this book. Well, actually, time is frozen. I could just do whatever the hell I want. I'm pretty sure I would just die in that first instance. I would just grow old. I just live 70 years, and depending on what the rules of that power are, the world would either just end because time would stop forever, or when I die, I'd just be gone. I think the teacher would be like, Christopher, it's time for you to get up and give your book report. And then like in a blink of an eye, I would just be just bones. Just I've been dead for that long and the spell is broken finally.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, but if you're going to go out, at least freak out a room full of children with your bones all over the place.
I would want
That's
to
how
play,
much I didn't want to read that book. I hate Maniac McGee.
Hey, now that was a good book. That was a fine book.
That was not a fine book.
No, it was a real dumb book.
It was a book about some kid who was crappy, as I remember, and had bad shoes and untied a disgusting knot from a flagpole. Did I nail it?
What a big dummy he is.
Yeah.
I want to set things on fire.
Did Maniac McGee do that?
No, that was my mutant power.
Sorry, is that your power?
No, actually...
My power is to read Maniac McGee.
And then set it on fire. Only that book. I could only set that book on fire. That would be the wonderful part of it. Very limited thing. No, I don't know. Telekinesis always seemed really cool to me. Then I could roll myself around in a mind-controlled cart. I would have to lose my legs first, or the use of my legs.
Go sit yourself down in that that big yellow old 1990 mouse that he has.
Exactly.
For the computer.
If you haven't guessed it by now, we are talking about X-Men.
Is that how we're gonna say it?
I don't know.
I can say it like your deep voice actor voice, like
X-Men. X-Men. No, I thought the more flamboyant way would. I mean, it's more like
your sing-songy jazz hands is X-Men.
I don't know if we're riffing or if this is actually behind the scenes.
No, it's all in front of the scenes. That's all that we do.
It's all real.
Nothing is ever edited. Just going along with that, like, what mutant power would you have? That was one thing that always. Well, okay, it didn't always bug me. I guess now it bugs me is that the mutants never had like a drawback to their power. Like if like your power was fire, like you could make fire, like there was no drawback to that. Like,
well, I would
anything that you burned, I don't know, you would have to like carry the weight of its ashes forever or something like that.
Right, nothing real big. Also, it wasn't like you woke up in the middle of the night with your clothes and your bed burned off. Just burned to death. I mean, you do think about what's her name, Rogue. She kind of had a cursed power.
She had a cursed power, sure.
And I think
what about Beast? His power was to be cursed. He was only blue, and blue and hairy, and no one will ever love you. Are there any X-Men that you might append to have some kind of drawback?
I think weren't there the guys in the sewers called the Morlocks? And
that's all drawback.
A lot of them hid because they may have some cool power, but it also comes with like scaly skin or something horrible. You know, they're not.
Yes, those feel like true mutants to me.
You think?
I don't know. Like, if you have mutated in some way and like you just, I don't know, you have telekinesis. Like, okay, Professor X, he has telekinesis, but he loses the power of his legs. Yeah, right. I know that's not always the proper origin for him.
Right. Yeah. Well, the origins of this was sort of diversity and trying to bring power to the powerless. Wouldn't you say? I mean, yes, some of them had curses to them.
No, well, I think that you're totally right though. That was kind of their drawback in the X-Men, which was written to not be such a happy-go-lucky like Superman. Their drawback was to be outcasts of society and embracing a real world sense of just being different. They were feared and hated, and there was legislation passed against them because they had advantages.
Yeah,
people were scared of that.
Very socially minded. Absolutely socially minded.
Yeah.
In its creation. But we didn't. I didn't really grow up with the comics. I would collect comics here and there, but I wouldn't follow a huge saga. So when they came to cartoons, that was when I could follow it. Every week it would come out for free. You know, no. And
is anything free?
It was
spent a lot of money on merchandise.
Oh, that's absolutely true. They got you in the end.
Literally, I had X-Men underwear. I did.
With a big X over the butt?
No, I want to say it had like Wolverine that like slowly would get faded and stretched into weird shapes. His claws were not straight.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, you know, that just meant that you had to lose weight, and you did. So one of my most significant memories of it, I would say, is the theme song. Oh yeah, it did have to start where it began.
Theme song. Yes, just start at the beginning of the episode.
You know,
that theme song is pretty badass. I really appreciate that there was not a rap for this.
You know, it really wasn't pandering to kids. It was following in line of the Batman animated series by Bruce Timm, and even the Tim Burton Batman had sort of thrown a grenade in all of the things meant for kids. It made people think that kids were ready for a little darker stories.
Yeah, if not a little bit darker, just at least I don't know, a more intelligent treatment of the narratives.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
This is just for timeline purposes. I mean, it definitely in my book, as far as like things that I loved, was Ninja Turtles, and then sharply replaced by X-Men, just because of more adult themes going on, better fighting. The Ninja Turtles, as we talked about in the Ninja Turtle episode, I mean, it was so dumbed down and very sloppily sometimes, just kind of slapped together, just because like that's all you needed.
Well, and it was very self-contained. Each episode was very self-contained. Yes, there were overarching things that happened eventually, like at the beginning of a season and then at the end of the season, with a lot of different shows. But mostly there wasn't last time on this episode. In X-Men, there were 5-6 episode arcs where you had to have seen it all.
I'm pretty sure there's no episode of the X-Men cartoon that just ended. I'm pretty sure all of them were to be continued.
I think there were some that were just sort of wrapped up, like at the end of sagas or at the end of runs of episodes, and then there would be like, Wolverine and Cyclops patting each other on the back and then walking out into the...
I never saw them pat each other on the back.
Maybe
Don't
once.
lie to me.
Maybe once.
I think the closest I saw to that was Wolverine punched Cyclops in the stomach.
And then walked away with his cigar in his mouth and just...
Did he smoke? I can't remember if he smoked in the cartoon or not.
Right? The movies sort of clouded, and the comics clouded my vision to it. But I really think that was like the last gasp of the time that maybe one badass in a show could have probably gotten away with it in animation. I don't know. I don't know. But
any memorable sagas or character arcs?
Well, absolutely.
Out of your memory there.
I think the word saga really evokes the X-Men show to me. There was the Phoenix Saga. There was the Dark Phoenix Saga. What else was there?
That was it. No other sagas besides those.
No,
as far as I know. But there's definitely there's arcs with Apocalypse and like the Savage Lands and
Mr. Sinister, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I don't know. Not all arcs were created equally. Some of them were weird, where they all go to, or not even all of them, just some of them go to Genosha, like the very annoying Jubilee, or the cool and also kind of dumb Gambit and Storm, who just freaks out Gambit in small places. Everyone likes Gambit.
I gotta say that it's such a shame that while they were trying to go a little bit darker, they still had to have a what would you say, a narrator a bit, or the person through which the audience saw the whole X-Men world, which was Jubilee.
That's true.
Because it sort of started with her. Rather than it being Rogue in the movies, it started with Jubilee in here, which she had the worst powers. She basically shot fireworks, non-lethal fireworks from her fingers.
But she was as 90s as you could possibly get with her yellow trench coat and her
crazy ass sunglasses.
Yeah. And did she have big hoop earrings also?
She had different shapes. Yeah, they changed quite a bit.
Fashion was kind of a weird, distinct thing in the X-Men series. At least maybe not for regular clothes, but like Cyclops' weird yellow thong that he wore across his chest.
Yeah,
did you ever see him pull anything out of that utility belt? I never saw anything.
I was going to say that did not look tactical whatsoever.
No,
I mean it did. It some of the I think a lot of it comes from. Gosh, I can't remember who. I've pushed out the creator of Deadpool. what was it? Rob Liefeld, and he really brought on sort of that look of all the little things on the useless little pouches on a lot of the people's outfits. I think that was where a lot of that design came from.
Yeah, I think Cable is probably the biggest violator of that. Just
oh yes.
I don't even know what you call that fur thing that you have around your neck. Is it a parka? Like a parka hood?
It's
just a scarf.
It's like the beginning of a snuggly. Or
yeah,
a snuggie.
He's got some kind of neck protector and just pockets everywhere. Good.
No, he was in the X-Men cartoon though.
Super briefly, and I
not enough.
think that it was one of those things where he goes back in time.
Of course,
that was one of the things I loved the most about that cartoon was like there was so much time travel that was going on, and I feel like they handled it fairly responsibly. Like there wasn't like I don't know, dual parallels or anything like that. Like
right.
things that they went back in the past like actually affected the future and like changed it drastically.
I think they did they did attempt a Days of Future Past-esque type of thing where you looked into the future and it was all apocalyptic, and then they had to go back in time and change things. It was pretty straightforward stuff, but they weren't afraid to deal with a lot of things. They even dealt with
like
death.
Genocide and
yeah. I mean, but
sure.
death of some of the main characters. I mean, maybe not some, but at least one that we know of. Spoiler alert! It happens in the first episode. But they lose Morph.
They do, and for a long time, you do believe he is dead.
I mean, that's a commitment to that not a lot of comic books at the time had, where they would kill somebody off and then 2 issues later he would be right back. They actually, I mean, how traumatizing is that for a kid watching a TV show and the wisecracking goofy guy who can morph into anybody and use their voices, the clown kind of dies in the first episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty.
They're setting the tone that life is shitty, kids.
Really,
buckle up.
Yeah,
the X-Men are here with their super heavy shadow design of their characters. Man, so much shadow. It was dark, like Johnny Quest, like the old super heavy core shadows.
Well, yeah. What you being having studied animation and stuff like that? What do you think, and what did you think at the time of the art style?
Oh, at the time, I thought it was mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowing.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't remember there being any weird things to it. I think that this is going to be the biggest thing I think that we judge when we go and revisit this is like how things actually look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just remember it being super detailed and very realistically drawn. So realistically, like there was very, very detailed like suits that these the X-Men were wearing. Not only the men showing off all the muscle definition,
the muscles, yeah,
but even like the super over sexualized like costumes for the women.
That was a little weird. I mean, again, it was.
I don't think it's weird. I mean, it totally makes sense. But
no, it's
just
right
like,
in line
for a kids like cartoon that was like
yes.
right in our face. Like that was a lot.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of things were awakening in young men and some women. Yeah, no. So there was. I mean, what did you think about the characterization of everybody? I mean, were they fully fleshed out characters, or did they sort of go back to certain wells of tropes about these the characters?
So here's what I remember, like through my wide child eyes, is that this show was fantastic, and that like I believed a lot of these characters and they felt complex to me.
Yeah,
I mean, there was definitely things that I would consider to kind of be tropes of the show, like Professor X always like screaming out in pain, and same with Jean Grey,
and then falling out of his wheelchair usually.
His wheelchair or his
bed or
out
something.
Of the flying car. But But yeah, there's just a lot of
yeah. I if I am remembering correctly, no, I loved the thing at the time, but if I can be honest, there was some stilted, faux Shakespearean sort of feel to a couple of the characters. Like, definitely Jean felt out of place with everybody else.
Really? In what way?
Well, I don't even know. It was just a gut feeling that I had that she just didn't make sense with the rest of the people. She was kind of, not that she had a bit of a mid-Atlantic accent. You know, she sounded like everything was a bit over dramatic. You know,
yeah, I feel like because she was kind of a dual love interest, maybe they wrote her to be very flat.
Yeah, to appeal to just men in general. But I felt like she was as powerful as she was. They kind of wrote her as very victimized. Don't you think?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Damsel in distress. Mm-hmm. And she came in and I think she kicked some ass every once in a while, but
she would. Yeah,
I think more often than not, they had to go and help her up after having like a brain attack. And
typically she would faint after her things. And yeah, I mean, she's an extinction level power, I guess, especially when she gets the Phoenix power within her.
Totally. Which also still never made sense to me that, like, I don't know. I get there's a sleeping power inside of you and then it finally comes out. But then it comes out and then she goes away and then actually I don't remember what order that came in. If she was Dark Phoenix first and the regular Phoenix. I fucking forget.
I mean that would
But all I know is the Phoenix Saga was badass because it's just a big like space battle between a bunch of robots and mutants and shit. Like that was exactly what I needed at that age.
Absolutely. And that was something that that a lot of it was a bold thing to do, is to go into space after you'd had probably 2 seasons of really serious on the ground. Like you weren't even thinking about space. You were just like the stuff that they did was dealing with crazy Russian half robot guys and big juggernaut and stuff like that. And to take it into space was like, oh, that's bold. That's cool.
It's like I don't know if I can handle it anymore. Like this is already so much more than I've ever had.
Thank you so much. And now you're gonna do time travel, you guys.
Holy shit! Yeah, and Master Mold and the Sentinels and
oh my god, yeah.
And I feel like there was an episode where Magneto and Professor X teamed up to fly the Blackbird through the middle of Master Mold.
Oh my god, yes, probably. I mean, we didn't even talk about a Magneto, the big bad guy over the whole series. Really, I mean, there was a lot of really interesting things to challenge the way kids thought about heroes and villains, and I think that was really interesting.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think after we revisit that, I think that'll be good to kind of circle back on some origins and our perceptions now as adults, how that actually was supposed to be perceived rather than just how we remember it.
Very much so. And I really, I mean, I would love to watch all 5 seasons again, but we gotta say that
5 seasons?
There are 5 seasons. The 5th season was a short one.
Is it? Did they shipped off half of it to Korea to be made? Didn't they?
Yeah, it
came back weird.
It looked very, very odd. But I would probably skip some because there were some shitty episodes.
No, you must watch them all. Yeah. Tell me what shitty episodes you remember. What's the? Do you remember any shitty episodes?
I really don't. I feel like there were a lot of standalone things, though, where you'd be like, oh, wow, that was a very special X-Men episode. Like one of those things where, somebody was taking drugs. And I think there were a couple that were that dealt with strictly Jubilee, and I was happy when she wasn't the main focus. Basically, God. I would say.
I kind of wish that, like you had mentioned earlier, like Jubilee is kind of like your introduction to the X-Men. I wish that you had been taken along with her more, and there was more of an arc, and she was actually a likable character.
Oh, if that was, but they were sort of locked into what she was in the comic books, which was that is the interesting thing, is that she didn't grow. She didn't seem to grow as much as she was. That introduction, she kind of never took center stage, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, there were many more interesting stories to tell, I think. So that was a big problem there. I remember actually, I know we're saying shitty episodes, but I really liked the episode where Rogue got her powers, which I think.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Doesn't she steal them from Miss Marvel?
Yeah,
she tries to.
I think she kills
battle her or something.
I don't.
Yeah,
I think it's implied that she killed her and stole all of her powers.
Killed her or put her in a coma or something crazy like that.
Maybe that was as dramatic as Fox Kids or whatever this production came out on. Maybe that was as extreme as they were allowed to get. Like, you can only kill somebody for at least a season or put them in a coma. So I'm saying that she was pretty much dead.
Yeah,
the shitty episode I remember is I think there was a Christmas special where for some reason the Morlocks come across Wolverine, like they steal from him or something, and Wolverine has to go down into the sewers and donate his blood to one of the Morlocks to try to heal them because they have Morlock cancer or whatever happens in the sewers. I don't know. You probably get different diseases when you live in the sewers.
Mm-hmm. Hepatitis Z or X. Yeah. Hepatitis X. Why didn't I say
hepatitis X?
X.
I think you tried to combine hepatitis and diabetes. Hepatitis X.
But usually the shitty episodes would be the ones I think that were standalone. You know how you were saying that none ever ended after one episode? Well, I think there were a few that ended after the first that only episode. They stood alone, but usually those were the weaker ones because they were trying to wrap something up real quick.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
They tried to Ninja Turtle that garbage instead of just have 20 that were to be continued. So I think that might be a good point to break. We're only doing the cartoon here. We're not doing the movies. We're especially not doing that Wolverine movie where he's got the cartoon claws. His sadamantium.
Okay,
let's have this episode go through an evolution, and we'll come back with some mutant thoughts.
To be continued.
Out of memory.
Previously on X-Men.
Jean. Right. Where's Jean?
All right, and welcome back to our X-Men episode of Out of Memory.
Welcome back, you little devils. I don't know.
Welcome back, you little mutants.
Welcome back. No, I was going to go really dark with this.
Welcome back, you bastards. Well, we're drinking Molson's in honor of our favorite Canadian X-Men.
Jeffrey Mole.
Yeah.
No, oh, sorry.
The son of Mole of our Canadian X-Men Wolverine. That's what he would be drinking. Molson.
Yeah, and Wolverine has gone through many different origins and nationalities, but we'll get into that later.
Indeed, we will. I mean, the intricacies of the relationships in this show, in X-Men in general, is kind of crazy. I mean, I was watching one episode where you find out that Rogue, her mother was Mystique.
Yeah. I don't think that's in line with the comics. I don't remember who her actual mother is.
I don't know either, and I don't even know if she was just like she had killed her mother and she was in place of her mother. She was
damn, that
the
is
foster
dark.
mother.
I thought that Rogue didn't get her powers until she was a teen.
That's true, but most that was kind of the overall thing is mutant powers were kind of related to puberty. And it was meant to be an analogy or an allegory for how people get to be awkward and feel like they don't fit in when they reach that age.
Oh. What mutant power did you get? I feel like I got the mutant power of too much hair and stretch marks on my back from growing too fast.
That is a rare one. I'm jealous of that from you. I got BO and a lot of hair. Yeah. It was a grand, magical, mysterious time of our lives. Yeah, loved
all
that.
Of which have the undesired side effect of giving us the power of abstinence, unwanted abstinence. Thanks for driving the ladies away.
I was a superpower at that. Superman.
I was unstoppable. I was at extinction level, not having sex.
How many episodes did you watch? What did you re-experience? What were your reactions?
Yeah, I watched a couple throughout the different seasons. There was 5 seasons, so I grabbed some early ones. Night of the Sentinels, which was one of the first 2-part series.
That's right.
Which I owned on VHS.
Nice.
Watched that again. Watched a couple of the middle ones with Mr. Sinister.
Nice.
And then a couple of the really, really awful ones at the very, very end, where I don't even know what was going on direction wise, but there was like a mystical Jubilee fairy tale adventure one.
Oh, that's right, where they all became weird versions of themselves, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I actually watched
the mutants.
I actually watched an episode where it was Wolverine teaming up with Captain America. And it wasn't a horrible standalone episode, but it was a little odd. And also, they both, for some reason, to get into this castle, they both had these handheld claws that they used to go up the walls of the castle. And Wolverine was like, "Man, I really like these claws. I should get me a couple of these." I was
was this before he got claws?
Yeah, but I was like,
even
no,
though he
that's
had, okay, well,
you
whatever.
At least have bone claws. That's something I guess they didn't touch. Yeah, they didn't touch that, I guess, which I'm fine with. But that was one thing that I thought that was really interesting, the way they worked around making Wolverine's claws lethal. In the show, I think they did that really well. He would always like chop a gun in half or chop somebody's bow staff in half or something like that, and then he would throw
safe
them.
Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He'd be like, "I could just kill you, but I'm just going to throw you down some stairs."
Nice,
perfect.
Yeah, other good things that I came across, just kind of revisiting this, was that even though the cartoon is a spin-off of the comic series, I mean, it really did kind of brand itself as its own style, if nothing else. And that in itself spun off a distinct comic series, as well as different video games and toys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's of note.
Well, I think that if a spin-off or if an iteration of something is popular enough and does stand the test of time, I think it will become part of the lore, and it will at least become fixed in with that lore.
I don't think so. Star Wars novels, not part of the canon.
Sorry, get out of here, dummies. Weren't worth nothing. Just actually, one of the things that was interesting is that Morph was not. Was a character named Changeling way back in the early parts of the comic books, got killed off, and then they brought him back specifically for this TV show, which was interesting.
I always had a feeling like I liked Morph. Like
I did too.
I don't know. He was kind of a jackass and a jokester.
And we don't get to really experience him too much until he fake dies, and then, spoiler alert, sorry, he comes back as sort of this weird anti-hero.
Yeah.
Well, meth head, and then he takes on the X-Men. He's being mind controlled by Mr. Sinister, and then he sort of has a climb back to a saving
yeah, but
grace.
he never like
something
rejoins the team or anything. He's
No,
like,
he doesn't.
okay, well, I'm good now, and then I'll never see you again. Goodbye.
He's kind of like
thanks for tracking me down, Wolverine.
he's kind of like Loki, maybe we'll say. Kind of
I don't know.
Whatever.
Honestly, that was the one thing that was a little surprising to me is like I didn't like Morph like re-experiencing this.
Yeah, that is a shame.
Yeah.
I hated his
just
laugh.
A shitty friend.
I hate. I don't know.
Very salacious crumb.
Exactly. What else? What else did you re-experience that was good, bad, odd?
Well, let's talk about maybe some characters that ruined some episodes that like were kind of given their standalone episodes or a couple episodes, like Mojo.
Oh God, the fat old Mojo.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't care how cool Longshot is that you throw in there. Like I don't like the weird Mojo games, which I was very scared that Thor Ragnarok was going to be that.
Oh yeah, no, that felt really close to it, and I'm glad they didn't have anybody like him. He's just a gross character, and I know that's what they were going for, and they pulled it off really, really well. But it's just really disturbing, the movement and the way his eyes are pulled back with the circuitry in his brain.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't know.
Yeah, just not needed. Yeah. I don't know. I think we already talked about the Morlocks. The Morlocks, I could do without the garbage people, even though they're probably more the true X-Men.
That's true. They are the outcast's outcast.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And how about the endings, where the show was supposed to end in season 5 with a 4-part fight against Apocalypse, and then the X-Men were supposed to disband. But I mean, this production has had a rocky road through the whole journey. But
listen, I like Rocky Road, so don't you be talking bad about Rocky Road.
Well, this is a Rocky Roads.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so they slap in a couple endings at the end, and then they finish it off with that awful graduation day, which, I mean, I don't know what kind of budget constrictions they were under, but, like, it really is barely finished.
I am sort of glad that it didn't really ever end, so that in your imagination you could have it just keep going on, because it's more and more episodes in your brain of what they could have been possibly doing. And because I don't think that everything needs a hard end. Yes, it would have been cool to have them have. Damn it! It would have been cool to have them fight against Apocalypse. That would have been incredible. But to think that they
disband afterwards.
To disband, that's a dark thing. Like, this show is a dark show. Death, hate groups against these people, destruction of the world. There's a lot of heavy issues to deal with. But
there is also there's a lot of weird things that happen.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, let's go to way over in the Savage Land.
Yeah, the Savage Land with Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister was weird. He could, like, reform his body, couldn't he? He got, like, parts of him shot off.
See, I don't understand how you defeat somebody like that. Or it's just kind of like, I don't know, I guess this time you got me. Because, it seemed like sometimes they could shoot at him and he would just bend his body away from it, and then other times he'd get blasted by Cyclops and, like, it'd really get him. And I forget how they even, like, kill him, even though he's obviously not dead, because he comes back as, like, a pile of leaves at the end or something stupid like that.
Don't they, like, I don't know. I'm not even going to lie like I know, like I did watch that
Just
episode.
Make it up. How does he die?
They trap him.
Cholesterol.
Leaves.
That's the one thing he was not watching.
A leave cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
he was tied. Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
There was something that didn't sit with me right that I remember, like, as a kid watching one of the episodes of Mr. Sinister, and I had to go back and watch that one because I didn't bring it up in the first part because I couldn't remember if I was making that up. But there's a weird scene where Mr. Sinister, like, he captures Scott and Jean Grey while they're on vacation, like on their, like, scooter or whatever.
Honeymoon.
It's a weird thing. And he's got them, like, tied to tables, and he's talking about like their genes and their offspring and stuff like that. And he forms like out of his like goo cave that he has like this weird snake hose that has like sharp teeth on it, and he like goes towards Scott, what looks like to be like his groin or whatever, and it just cuts to Scott's face being in orgasmic pain. Yeah. And then
orgasmic pain, yeah.
And then he turns around, he's like, now I have it. And he pulls out like, it looks like, I don't know, like a loogie or something like that. It looks like
he calls it a seed.
Yeah, he calls it a seed. Yeah, so his blowjob machine that looks very painful. I still remember. I'm very happy that actually was something. I wasn't just making that up.
Yeah, and you sent me that clip, and I absolutely appreciate that being in my mind now. Thanks so much.
Good. Have fun not sleeping.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. They kept upping the weirdness of bad guys throughout the whole series. I think they did have 30 years of very rich bad guys to pick from. So I think they had a lot of really good characters. They had this one that I watched. I think it was in the 5th season, called the Phalanx. And the Phalanx was like a hive mind type techno-organic alien being or something like that came to Earth, and there was one rebellious little offshoot of it named Warlock, and he was very odd. Like he could shapeshift, but he would also call himself Self. He would be like,
I kind of remember this. He was like very like slapsticky looking.
So much. Yeah, he had like a big, like 2 big eyes, and like they would
big flappy lips.
They would shoot out like he was the wolf from a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Oh God!
A Tex Avery cartoon. But that was a very weird couple of episodes that they had to. Boy, they really shoved a lot into 22 minutes, or in the case of 2 3-parters, 44 or 66 minutes. I can do math on the fly, people.
Holy shit.
There's also some weird little tiny moments in, I think, the 4th season or 3rd season. There's a Punisher video game that somebody has, which was really weird. And I think actually the Punisher comes in once during one of the episodes later on, but I couldn't tell you where. And then in the Phoenix Saga, Beast at one point is wearing a Howard the Duck T-shirt.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The most refined mutant of them has the most like
goofy. He's really into that comic series.
Yeah.
But we wanted to sort of go back to this whole series because it's actually celebrating the 25th anniversary this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was funny.
Congratulations.
Woo!
You did it. Oh God, we're so old. Oh my God.
But the funny thing is, next year will kind of be the 2018 will be the 25th anniversary truly, because the 25th anniversary of the original was it was the night of the Sentinels. They premiered it on Halloween, and stuff because of the what was the
production company?
The production company was ACOM, right?
ACOM, which I think was a Korean production company. And they had so many problems with them.
They were missing like 50 scenes or something like that.
Yeah, so I think there were so many problems in the first episode that was, I think, supposed to premiere like the 4th of July weekend or something like that. They couldn't. They had to delay it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the second episode was missing so many scenes. And it seemed, I have no idea how they stuck with them for 5 seasons, but they did.
I cannot believe they put that much faith into it, because by that, and let's also talk about something near and dear to your heart. Something that was a couple of years even before the animated series was another attempt.
Yeah, there was a one shot in 1989 called The Pride of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, most people will probably know this X-Men from the X-Men arcade game.
Yes.
Which was a fucking awesome arcade machine.
Man.
That was, I want to say it was 6 or 8 players could play at one time. Kind of like the Avengers arcade game. But Yeah, I just add very iconic X-Men in it. They had Nightcrawler, Colossus,
yeah.
and instead of Jubilee, which I think was fucking great, and I hate Jubilee even more, was they had Dazzler on this original team, and she was so much cooler. She was punky like
an 80s punk. Yeah.
She was. Yeah.
She had the headband. She had the leather jacket and stuff.
Yeah, but she wasn't a child that was helpless. Like she would like make gun fingers with her hands, and but she would like shoot something that would actually do some damage rather than just like sparkles.
But they did still have the Jubilee-esque character in Kitty Pryde, who was sort of the introduction to the X-Men. She was the one who had to be recruited onto the team, and it's very similar to the story. I mean, it's not similar to the story because they go to Asteroid M and crazy stuff like that. Like there's another asteroid that Asteroid M is guiding at the planet, which was just I didn't know.
Asteroid M is the coolest bad guy base besides
totally.
Besides, like, a volcano base. Because at one point they crash Asteroid M into the Earth.
That's true.
Not in this one shot. But yeah, Magneto's team was pretty badass, too.
But because they had the Blob and Pyro. Juggernaut, White Queen, and Toad.
Yes.
But that was back in the day, and this is my biggest problem with 80s cartoons and other iterations of this bad idea, is that it was always the villain's goal to destroy all life on the planet Earth. It was just evil for being evil's sake rather than having an end game. And he was just like he was bringing them into the Ice Age. So essentially everybody who could survive would be like Pyro.
Well, that would be it. I think that's the key, though, is that show is the key term, because I mean the original intention by Jim Lee and Stan Lee,
Jack Kirby.
Sorry, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, was that I mean the X-Men were mutants, yes, and it does fall into a lot of these tropes, but it had that avenue of allegory for a lot of these different things that were very topical then and still are now: civil rights and hatred and racism, and that kind of sense that not one person believes that they are the villain, that they're fighting to be the bad guys, or they're fighting for what's good.
Yeah, and I think that was the difference between the portrayal of this show's Magneto and the X-Men animated series Magneto.
Oh, totally.
And especially then into the movies and everything else, is they were two sides, Professor X and Magneto were two sides of the same coin. It wasn't that they were trying to destroy the world or be evil for evil's sake. They were trying to reach a crazy resolution on one side or the other for the survival of their own species.
Absolutely. And I think that even incorporating into the cartoon the the Mutant Registration Act,
Friends of Humanity.
Friends of Humanity, who are all about no more mutants.
Like that. Yeah.
That's amazing to have put that in there. Such strong hatred and at overwhelming odds against the few that are mutants.
Yeah.
So you get a sense of understanding like where these villains, if you can even call them that, are coming from. But even through just exchanges between Professor X and Magneto, you get that frustration and that kind of hopelessness to pursue it through civil means. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Magneto is trying to start this war. Like he's not really trying to start war; he's trying to start revolution.
Yes,
he's trying to have something change in his eyes for the better, something that's necessary.
And sometimes it might be at the expense of all humanity, and human humanity, not the X gene humans, or the mutants, because I think sometimes you get to the point where you are just fed up. You're like, we are the next level, or that's what he was thinking and saying that these people actually don't deserve to be living because they have brought such shame and such hatred on the rest of the world. And we actually get a look at it, not just in the movies and not just in the comics, but they actually go to the concentration camps in one of the episodes. And that's, I am just flabbergasted by what this children's show got away with in that delivery of this message.
And I wouldn't even call that getting away with something.
Oh no, yeah,
but it's shocking to me that they stayed so true to the original intention of what the X-Men was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That they show that kind of imagery and they get that across, that you can have that empathy for these characters.
And balancing it with a Saturday morning cartoon show needs, of the flashy thing. I think it was very subversive in a way where they actually got to send this message to kids while still entertaining them. That was kind of my point. That's just fascinating to me.
As safe as a Saturday morning cartoon was, like, it had some real shit in it that was worth talking about. It still is.
And nobody could call them on it because they always seemed to be on the right side of history. That was the coolest part, is they always made the X-Men, no matter how, and they even had arguments within each other, within the team, which was so cool that people's ideological fights were worth having.
Yeah.
What does a leader mean? What is following your heart mean? I don't know. It's just so many moments in this show that came back to me. I was like, God damn, this was a good show.
Yeah, holy shit, that's heavy. And I would say that watching it as a kid and re-experiencing it now, like, some of that was definitely lost on me when I was young.
But I don't think it was subconsciously lost. I think the fact that
like I remember like respecting Magneto in a lot of ways, or thinking like he's a cool character. Like, so yeah, some of it was coming across, but like, I mean, not to the degree of like how I understand it now. Now that I understand like what a concentration camp was and how that fits into history, and like that's a real shitty thing that happened throughout humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only more impactful now.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I mean, Jack Kirby is quoted as saying he wanted. Well, the quote is taken out of context. I forget what I copied this from, but he said, instead of disorienting or alienating people who were different from us, I made the X-Men part of the human race, which they were.
Yeah.
And then Stan Lee had a much less profound quote. I'm sure he had a lot of profound quotes about the X-Men, but he said, the mutants possess an extra power, one which ordinary humans do not. That is why I call my students X-Men, for extra power. So
that's very Stan Lee. He's more the story guy for sure, and the showman.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you find? I mean, I don't think that there was direct parallels taken away from what was happening in the civil rights movements, but there is. I mean, if you look at it, MLK and Malcolm X were kind of the Professor X and Magneto of their day,
sure.
and the Marvel what was it? X-Men came out in 1963, so right in the middle of the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
So Stan Lee. Oh, here's actually a great quote. I did not think of Magneto as a bad guy. He was just trying to strike back at the people who were so bigoted and racist. He was trying to defend mutants, and because society was not treating them fairly, he decided to teach society a lesson. He was a danger, of course, but I never thought of him as a villain, which is so cool. So cool that they had this in their minds when this whole thing was being created.
Yeah. Super forward thinking, very aware of the times. It's an origin you can respect.
Well, I wanted to talk something else about the Marvel multiverse. Do you know about this?
Kind of like the MCU?
Well, yes, but it's included in that. But so there are a lot of different universes in the Marvel canon, and certain events take place in certain things. The main comic continuity takes place on Earth 616.
They named these?
They did.
That is fucking nerdy.
There
that
is
so dorky.
There's a huge list. I swear to God, I'll show it to you later. But there's all of these what if episodes that they make, and each one of those has their own
fractures
Earth.
the timeline. Or
Exactly.
The reality.
Yeah, exactly. Like when Deadpool killed all of the Marvel Universe. That is its separate one. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is 19999. The Ultimates Universe is 1610, and the way this relates, the X-Men animated and Spider-Man animated series take place on Earth 92131.
They did have a crossover episode. I forgot about that.
Yes, they did. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, we might very well have to do a Spider-Man animated episode, because that is also really awesome.
To be continued.
Speaking of crossovers, do you know that in 1996 that there was a crossover comic series that was Marvel and DC?
What?
Yeah, where they fought each other.
I think I had heard about that, and then they tightened up their regulations on the swapping of franchises, and they were like, no, we're angry at each other again.
Yeah, now it's been a quiet movie arms race since then.
Well, and they also
guess who's winning?
Also there was this weird amalgam comic. Did you know about this? That was where it wasn't just the DC and Marvel fighting, but it was a crossover where they would do Wolverine and Batman, but put that character together.
What?
So it was, there was a bunch of different crossovers. I don't remember any other ones, but that always stood out to me. It was like Dark Claw or something like that. And it had the mutant powers of Wolverine, but he was rich and he chose to be a bat and everything like that. It was such a weird one shot, but it was
that is
great.
Stupid, because I mean, I know this is totally tangential, but
no.
Batman, I mean, technically has Wolverine's healing powers. There's no way
really,
he'd be able to recover from all those fights and go to board meetings or even fight within the same week, unless he was ridiculous. He's a mutant. I don't care what people say. He's a mutant.
He got sprayed by some weird radiation gas, whatever.
Yeah, it was a radioactive bat farted on him when he fell in that cave, and that was it. Boom. Bat healing powers, because that's what they're known for.
Indeed.
Another cool thing about Wolverine that I did come across on is it Gizmodo? Is it
Gizmodo?
Gizmodo? Oh,
Gizmodo.
Okay. Whatever. There's an article that it has all of the different costume changes throughout the years of Wolverine.
Oh, fantastic!
Starting with his original one from 1974, where I think it's the one that looks the most like a Wolverine, because it's got the super short ears.
Right. Yes.
I don't know. He looks the most animalistic there.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually his debut was in an Incredible Hulk comic.
Yeah, and he didn't even join the. I think that was in 74, and then he didn't even join the X-Men until 75.
Yeah.
So it was just a one-off. I didn't.
But I do like that the yellow costume was the original, and they strayed away from that with the brown one and
the brown and yellow,
and then right back to it for the cartoon.
Yes.
Now I mean that one's the one that I know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is probably the most. Even I don't think he ever got that the black leather that they had in the movies was supposed to be sort of gritty or realistic, that they would never have yellow stuff, but it never seemed unrealistic in the TV show, did it? It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess when everyone's wearing their underwear on the outside, I guess just fucking roll with it.
One thing I did find really funny, and while I was watching the origin, the night of the Sentinels, is that they all, even when they were in the base, they would all call each other by their code names, by their superhero names. You know, they would be like, "Hey, Wolverine, stop that!" And of course, that is identifying the brand. It's getting kids to understand who everybody is. But he would call him Gambit or whoever, and I was like, "But no, that's Remy." And yes, later on they did do that, and I get it for a marketing purpose. But it was just so funny, and that's what I've always thought is funny.
So totally nerdy thing to go along with that, and yes. I kind of believe that more is that I watch a lot of speedruns of video games, and when these guys get together to do like big charity events and like all of these speedrunning dudes are like in the same room or whatever, they're calling each other by their speedrunner name, like whatever their handle is.
Right.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like,
don't show favorites. Don't show favorites.
I'm gonna make them up. Macho Man or Piranha Fish or Smelly Santa Hat. Like they call each other that though. They don't they're like, "Hey, Steve."
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah.
So,
I guess
you know what? I'm gonna say that is real shit.
No,
I put that out there. Also, reference Top Gun.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's absolutely true.
Wait, Maverick was not his real name. It wasn't like Tommy Maverick.
It was not at all. No. Well, it wasn't Goose either, or Iceman. Speaking of which, there are a couple of guest characters that like we were talking about. In Pride of the in Top Gun. Yes,
Iceman was in Top Gun.
Wolverine was in Top Gun.
There's also a wizard.
That's true. That was a magical time in the Air Force.
Stop it.
Okay. I
you
really
just like volleyball.
Slow motion. No, but there were a couple of characters that weren't from the original. There were 5 original X-Men. There was Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Angel, and Beast. And they only took 3 of the 5 for their regular folk. And then Iceman came in every once in a while.
Or there was a one-shot episode where I think Jubilee like went and she did like a mission with Iceman, but he was kind of a rogue and not really trusted. But they did say that he was like a former student of Xavier's.
Interesting. And then but then we got introduced to Angel at one point. And we got to know him for like 2 seconds before he turned into Archangel.
What the turd is up with his wings when he's Archangel and they're like the metal weird like folded in, sometimes folded out wings? He doesn't flap them. Is he just like, if you have them you get to fly?
I think he might have a weird little jetpack on the back, or he floats. I don't know, man.
It's so much like, I mean, metal wings are so much cooler than feather wings. I get that, and he can shoot the little blade things out, but it doesn't make any sense. And then he wears that blue unitard, and he's got blue skin.
And does he ever? He doesn't really get turned back, but he gets Rogue takes out the dark side of him, right?
Yeah,
and then he's like, I'm Archangel, but I'm not a mean guy anymore.
Doesn't she turn blue for his eyes?
Yeah, he definitely turns blue. Well, maybe that comes from her being part of what's it called?
Oh shit! I know
Mystique.
where you're going with this. Yep.
Mystique, yes.
Oh, shit,
could have been. Well, and wasn't Mystique Nightcrawler's mother as well? I don't know.
God, who knows?
Like I said, it's very very incestuous, I would say. Yes.
Yeah, they all came from just one mother.
Mm-hmm. So we had some questions before we left for the break. Did we answer those questions? And I want to go down.
Did we even research them? We did. I mean, some of them. Like, I think really the only one that we had was, did Wolverine smoke in the animated cartoon? Because I kind of remember that he did. I think that you said clearly. That you did too, but we looked it up.
Yeah, and never. He does not. He does not smoke, and I get that. I mean, that was the time when they
totally had an embargo against that. So that's totally understandable. I don't know. Like, I guess that really is like true to the Wolverine character so much that we had remembered it, just like inserted it in our memories.
I saw it so much in the comic books, I guess. And the comic books, for real, if if it wasn't for swearing, were way more adult than anything children should have been.
Yeah, dude,
watching.
All of these guys are hooking up with all these other X-Men. Like it's
and I mean, and like you get to actually stab some people with the claws and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they do it in the movie. He has the cigar butt in his mouth.
In the what?
I'm sorry, we're not talking about it.
I'm not talking about that.
Sorry. Other question.
Next time, maybe. Yeah.
Was Cyclops a bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of was. I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, he's just like a leader that is in that like good son role, like just falls into that category.
There has to be that archetype, doesn't there?
Yeah, there has to be.
Well, and with so many different personalities, that's what I loved. And what blows my mind still is that they had as as stereotypical as some of the characters were, like the Cajun playboy that Gambit was, and the angry loner that Wolverine was. Everybody had their own character, and they balanced it throughout the series. They had a lot of characters in a lot of episodes, and that's very good writing, I think.
Yeah. I would say that the writing and the structure of the episodes was done very well. Mm-hmm. Still, like sometimes the animation, like if it was like a Prime episode, like it was definitely lacking, especially towards the end. Oh my God!
Sometimes there were weird moments when they would be like in the mansion, and then they would like run over to the person that they were talking to, and I was like, "There's no reason to run. That was like 5 steps. Why did you animate them running?"
Because that's dynamic. Well, honestly, you know what it is? I think it's these were storyboarded by comic artists, and they're like, this is how you make things look like action's going on. And so like the animators, when they got this on the other side of the planet, they were just like, all right, well, he runs over there.
That looks right.
It's a weird American thing where people run across the room and talk to each other. Try it sometime.
I want to get to one thing and to correct one thing. I sort of said that Jean Grey was a always sort of falling down and always being the damsel in distress. Just because her power was passive, which was, being telekinetic and just sort of floating there and really exerting a lot with her mind, doesn't mean that she was, from the episodes that I watched, she was really powerful. She was crazy powerful.
And there are certain alternative mediums that show this very well, how powerful the telekinesis could be.
Yeah, I just think there were a lot of times where she was fainting, and then somebody would have to run over and pick her up.
It stood out. I don't know why.
It did, really. I wanted her to have a lot more. Like, yeah, it takes her out of her. It takes it out of her, but she's never the last one standing. That's the weird part. Unless, well, when she's the most powerful mutant, like when she was in the Dark Phoenix phase.
Sorry.
Bam.
Ugh. Yes, in the Dark Phoenix phase. Girl on couch just fainted into the couch.
Oh, no. Oh, well, she must be really exhausted from exerting all that mental energy.
Yes, she's been propping this show up the whole
time. Do you think that Jean is one of the most powerful mutants, or just the X-Men in general?
If we're going by the show...
Yeah.
No, I say the most powerful mutant is Mr. Sinister with his
horrible
blowjob machine. You don't want that to happen.
Oh God!
No, I'd say
do a lot.
If I'm gonna, I mean, I think honestly, Storm is probably the most powerful mutant on the
Interesting.
X-Men.
Yeah,
she can fly. She can command the weather.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that was ever fully realized in the show as far as like the extent of what that could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that has the most potential.
We quickly mentioned a couple of the future characters, the people from the future, like Cable, Bishop. Was Forge from the future, or was Forge just...
He's from the future.
I think he was, yeah. Bishop.
What is his power? Just to have a robot leg?
I think so. No, he's like an inventor. Or oh no, he shoots power beams or something out of his hand, I think.
Okay.
But Bishop was one of my favorite characters.
Bishop is a badass character
because he can take in any, and I think this is like an argument to say that he might be one of the most powerful mutants, because he can take in any energy shot to him and then shoot it right back out.
I will say that some of my favorite episodes are the ones with Bishop.
Hell yeah.
Days of Future Past, and then I think there's one that's like Future Fugitives or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Or Time Fugitives. I think that's what it is, where they fight the Nimrod, which is a dumb character. But yeah, Bishop is badass.
Bishop is badass, and I just wanted to say that reminded me of the fact that all of these episodes led into another episode. That's how they could shove in so many storylines, is the last 1 minute of every episode was sort of just this like hint to what the next episode might be.
Yeah.
That was shocking to me, rewatching these things. Like the episode where the Days of Future Past episode, at the very end, he says, "Boy, nothing changed, Forge. Why I stopped the guy, Senator Kelly, from being killed, and nothing's changed." And you see the skeleton of Wolverine in a big canister. You're like, how did this happen? So that means that it's going to come back later on somehow. I don't know what it was, but it was just really well done, overarching storylines when they could control what was happening with the production.
I like that when Bishop time travels, that there's a side effect where he doesn't remember things properly.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of cool.
Well, because all of the temporal fluxes of like whatever he's doing is butterflying right. into the future or something.
Well, I remember
like
that in temporal flux class. Yeah, that shit does happen.
Yeah, dummy.
Which was your favorite X-Men from the show?
My favorite X-Men, Gambit being one of my favorite X-Men. He wasn't the main guy, but I loved his attitude. And sometimes I will say he talked a little bit like a caveman. Yeah. What about you? Who was your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, Gambit was definitely my favorite. Yeah. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah. Agree. Like, subscribe. All right. Let's. We talked about a whole bunch of shit.
Indeed.
All right. So how are we scoring this?
Well,
X-Men.
Looking back at it, it only falls down a little bit in animation, but that's what I expected for the time. I'm not knocking it for that. That's the thing. The writing was almost exactly what I remember, because it's more morph in depth. No, it's more in depth than I actually remember. I was like, Jesus, like 5 storylines are going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it 52 out of 52 Gambit card packs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I would honestly, I would give this a 10, because it was it's so much more in depth than I remember, as far as like just topical things. We talk about civil rights and just hatred and racism, and just generally how you treat other people, and then compacting so many like grand storylines into such short seasons. I mean, only like 13 episodes. That's like a Netflix season.
I know.
But like Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past, like that, it's really like extraordinary that they got it all in, and it was so impactful. I will ding that 10 though.
Okay.
With the animation, because there are definitely later on episodes where it's almost unbearable to see things like like the running from conversation to conversation. Also, to find out that these debuted not in the right order is very startling.
Super disappointing. Yeah,
I'm knocking this down to a 10 or an 8.
Okay.
8 Colossus roars.
Man, I still love Cal Dodd, who did Wolverine. His berserker scream is fabulous.
I think didn't they still use him for Marvel vs. Capcom?
They do, yeah. That's the one thing that he kept up with.
Well, this has evolved as far as it's going to evolve. So, yeah.
Yeah. And next time, 15 slap bracelets and how they'll change your life.
or next time, UPN. Where are they now?
And maybe next time, bop it, skip it, it's it. Ha ha.
I like you read that like a Jeopardy question or a Jeopardy category.
It is, isn't it? Isn't that how we're forming that episode, quote unquote?
Jeopardy episode.
The Jeopardy episode. Bop it, skip it, it's it. All right.
Damn it.
Damn it. You can follow us on Instagram. What's it called? That other one, Twitter and Facebook, all at Out of Memory Pod. And you can email us any of your questions or hate mail or anything like that. No, none of that?
No hate mail.
Not the hate mail. Okay,
no.
Don't send us your hate mail at outofmemorypod@gmail.com. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Because
right, well, thanks for joining us. I'm Christopher Hampson. That's
I'm AJ Hamilton.
It's me. Sorry. Oh, you do it yourself. You're a big boy.
I'm AJ Hamilton.
It is Hamilton. That's Girl on the couch over there. And this has been an episode.
Ha-ha!
Merry Christmas.
It's it.
Ho ho.
As leader of the Morlocks, I hereby extend an invitation to all X-Men to join us for Christmas dinner.
Fuck, shit. Can I get a cut?
Cut.